Hi everybody, my name is Renato Quintero and welcome to this is not a video tutorial, but I decided to today, instead of like doing and showing you a whole video tutorial on how to draw things, I wanted to talk about a little bit of the things that I do when I draw. I feel like I can always teaching certain things about the drawing and painting, and I feel like I think it's a good thing to talk about a little bit about how I'm working these days, and what are the things I have learned through these years, in terms of like drawing the figure. And it just happened that I just came back from a live drawing session that I had uh, today, invited by a friend of mine, and I was drawing, and I got like a little bit warm up from all of that, and I decided to just to kind of break down what I think when I'm drawing the female figure. Um, and there was a point when I was exploring all everything about drawing, and one of the things that I had a lot of trouble was actually getting the torso like properly done. And I remember I tried to practice a lot how to draw the torso and how the things were like fitting in the torso, because I didn't want to have those problems, and I kind of wanted to know exactly like why things are the way they are, and start understanding the main shapes and then break it down, so later I can really push the body proportions and all that. And to be honest, most of the times when I'm practicing or warming up or doing any sketch, I kind of automatically go for a curve, and then automatically start thinking about this shape, like like this. I think like something with a pinch here, and something like with a curve on the other side. And I think about the center of the spine, and I've been doing a lot of like these kind of drawings in my sketchbooks. I've been drawing them a lot, and it's like tiny practices, I can reinforce that when I go to live drawing, because when I draw the figure, then I can learn a little bit more, uh, learn a little bit more of the figure, and how it is drawn. So I practice this a lot most of the time, especially like I like to do the torso, especially. And once I have the torso, I start exploring other things. And I'm talking more about female drawing, or even the male figure. Um, those things are basically the same, just a little bit wider, and I think that when I get this, I already have a place where I can rearrange things. I can play with the pose however I want, however I feel it can work. And I can make it like really. I can make decisions quickly about it, and just by having like a like stick figure. Then I can think about a pose, and once I have those relationships with my pose and the torso, I kind of feel the rest is like I just make sure that these lines is where the pose is gonna go. So I once I have this established, I kind of reinforce a little bit the roundness of the leg, and then I draw the leg. And obviously it sounds like it's easy, but it has been a lot of studies of different parts of the body, until like you draw them so often that then there's a point where you already kind of know where what is the shape that it will take, and what kind of parts of the body it will show in that position. And that goes with a lot of practice and going to a lot of live drawing. So those things are really fundamentals. And once you get the proportions, and you start observing how people place their feet in the ground, and then you start. It's like start making your own way of building the figure. Then it becomes nicer, but that actually requires a lot of like practice and a lot of like observation. Practice is obvious, but more be really observant of what are the shapes that the body takes in certain positions, and follow and try to think about how things can flow from the drawing, and that comes from just by doing this torso that I just did. I usually have more troubles in the head, but there's something that can be edited later and that I can play with. It's something that I still struggle. I feel like I can get the whole body complete, but when you go to the head, you actually have to like I feel like your drawing is this, right, but when you draw the head, your drawing is this size. So it's kind of like you go from this big size to like a really small size, and that is a challenge itself because you are drawing like big soupy lines and you are like drawing different uh, lines, really like fluid lines, and then now here you have to be really short and you have to be more mechanical, and I feel a little bit mechanical because you have to keep the proportions going. So I do a lot of those practices, like trying to keep the proportions, and I just make some use marks, quickly marks, so I can have an idea of that everything that I'm gonna draw is gonna be placed on the right side. But that's good when I'm drawing a head. But when I'm drawing the head and that head becomes, instead of this drawing becomes this small, then it's kind of hard to place the marks that it looks good. Also, it depends on how big is your drawing. So that's why like drawing the head, I mostly, and also you have the likeness of the model that you can try to mimic or try to duplicate somehow. But that depends on how long the pose is gonna be. Because if you spend a lot of time in the head, then you lack some information. So when I'm drawing, if I'm drawing a model, I'm drawing something, I think about, okay, you have a torso here, and sometimes I'm sloppy with this because I can fix it, but I think about the center line that goes in the body, and then from then I like to go like this in a circle, like an egg, and then place the ear here. I saw this a lot in Italian paintings. This is kind of like how they did many figures. And because the neck and everything, it has like a lot of support, so it has already gesture there, and that's kind of like later you rearrange and you place everything on top of that, and then you become more shape oriented, or and then you can actually like refine that, but basically that will be the face because the rest will be hair or whatever you're gonna put on top. So that's when I'm drawing, and I'm drawing like a gesture like this, and the model is like that, and she's looking at you, so I try to think about, let's say she has one arm like this, and then she's going forward, you know, going like this. And then the neck will be looking at you, so it's kind of like the same thing that I was saying, right? You draw that. Sometimes it's I think it helps a lot just to have this kind of like quick way of drawing the head. You know, I used to place something, and this is the neckline. This is the muscle of the neck. So it kind of like flows with the ear and flows with the face. Okay. But what I was saying is that, like, by doing all these torso drawings and studying, uh, like a lot, like I did it a lot, but I started kind of figuring it out from studies. That's why I made that how to draw the torso tutorial, because I had a lot of troubles, and I wanted to know how to break down this so I can have a certain guide. And once you well, you see the tutorial, and I talk about all the points that you keep in mind when drawing the torso. Once you have your basic way of drawing that torso, like I said already, which is the box, and sometimes I add a circle. When you have this, then you draw it so many times that then later when you want to do something more like dynamic, or you can start thinking about more wild perspectives with this, like it's just rearranging that box and turn it like this, and you have to think about the distance, and you think about the other box and how this box is connected like this. So you can start thinking about, you can start like moving that a little bit more, moving the boxes, and be more, have more be more exploratory with your drawing. And then obviously you don't forget about the bones that are inside. That's why like anatomy comes out once you understand uh, those basic shapes, and then you have mastered it somehow, right? And it becomes a lot about, then it becomes something more about like cylinders, and how you can place everything inside these basic shapes, um, that's kind of like I've been looking for when I'm drawing. I I had a lot of struggles, so I kind of wanted to find a simple way to be able to draw faster and more accurate. So that's kind of like what I did. Like I found a way to practice that a lot until it became second nature, and from that I did a lot of practice where it's just like a lot of those where it's just like doing this, just doing this kind of like perspective tubes or cylinders, and then on top of that kind of mapping the anatomy, like the arm shape and the anatomy, right? So I could start like thinking about those things, and just by having that basic structure, I can grow the rest from that. You right? And then there's no way that there's a there are shapes that as you draw them they become more familiar. So when I'm drawing these fingers, I have drawn before, and I feel like if I have a question, how can I draw that finger? Like I pay attention to it. I draw a couple of times and I practice it. So probably drawing like separate parts of the body. That's how like has helped me. Obviously, you see, you go to live drawings and you know how to build your structure, and then you get some like reference, and you work from the reference. Um, so basically, what I'm saying is that simplification and observation. A lot of observation. Sometimes no, you don't have to draw that much. You have to observe and then see, not only with the drawing, but with other artists like work or paintings and all that. So you start like seeing how these artists are doing their work. And I have done that a lot in the past, and I did like recently when I go to the museums. I like to see people who are like drawings, and I take a magnifier and I see how they did their drawings. Like what are the things that are appealing inside their drawings? Um, so legs and and all that are for me another thing that I enjoy a lot to draw, because well I do love and I have my attraction to girls' legs. It's like something that is super sexy to me. So when I draw them, I it's like I like them. I like the shape a lot. So that's an easy one to master after a while. You know, a lot of studies, a lot of practices with the models, and looking at photos and drawing them and paying attention like to the lines, and I try to imagine how things flow, and when was the last time I draw something like this, and then bring from that to my drawings. Um, and I like what I have here, being a little bit more exploratory with that, and thinking about foreshortening, and thinking about the figure, and all that. You can start building something else, and I feel like the rest is just adding things to your designs. Um, this is what I need mostly for my drawings, and it's good to do the torso, and practice that a lot, because it, you start understanding how the body and how the bones and how the soft parts of the body work. Um, you pay a lot of like attention and observation to that. You see, I kind of repeating again the same drawing because I have done it so many times, and that's the thing. You have to also create some mileage, and you can also use a photo if you're gonna do just one drawing. But I feel that this is what I enjoy the most, being able to have this flow in the lines and do these drawings are bringing a lot of pressure to me. Um, you know, so that's one of the things that I feel like try to understand how that for example the shoulder kind of like make this kind of these two lines, right? This is for the chest and this is for the shoulder there. So the more you study those things, you will see you will start like improving your figure because it's just paying attention and understanding like okay, and try to see things in your head a little bit more. Something that I was explaining to my mentee was that when I draw hands and the hands are gonna be placed in the body, I want to draw first where the hand is gonna be, what position is gonna take, and then from there I can like have one dot here and have one dot here. Kind of find my proportions because I know the elbow is here. So kind of like imagine 1 point, 2 points, and 3 points, so I can connect them all, and I have an arm that has some proportions, and then it matches with the hand that is touching the body. So those are the things that I've been like getting more aware how I do how can I make some uh, shortcuts for that when I'm drawing. Um, Also, I kind of wanted to talk about the hand a little bit because I feel that's something I was supposed to, and I'm supposed to do a tutorial about it. But the thing as this, I have a way of drawing that is kind of like I have made my own process to draw this, and probably I'm not saying my process is unique, but it's kind of like the combinations of many things I have learned through the years. But for the hands, I I kind of wanted to prepare something better for this, but I'm gonna go with right now with what we're talking about. And for the hand, there's a very kind of basic structure that it will be this, that this will be my hand. That's how I feel that hands are. This is the simplest form for the hand. And if you see your hand, there's some rhythms here, and then there's a curvature, it's kind of like a fan that opens. And this one opens too like a fan, it opens like this, the thumb. So, thinking about those things, thinking about the size of each finger and where they bend. The fingers are. This is the palm of the hand, right? Then we have 1, 2, and 3. So 1, 2, and the 1, 2, and 3, and 3 is the tip of the fingers. so 1, 2, and 3. Probably too long the second one. Probably not that perfect, right? I think it's more like this, and then go down like this, and then go down. And I don't draw this. I don't draw this when in general, this is just to tell you, to show, and then you have one finger, then you have another finger, and then you have another one, and then you have another one. You're basically duplicating the lines, And once I have this, I look at my finger and I see 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, and 3, right? 1, 2, and 3. So for me, this is the shape of the hand. And I look at my hand and I know that there's some webbing here between the fingers. So that's important to keep in mind when drawing the hand. It's very important to have that webbing there. So otherwise it looks like a robot. And then you have your wrist. I think about the hand in in a more flowy way. And when I say that is that the way I draw the hands is that I like to think about the arm, and I like to think about this is an arm and then this is the top. I kind of imagine my forearm and then my hand here, and kind of like to do the cylinder, add some thickness. Then I like to draw the palm of the hand, right? I think these drawings are a little bit small, so I'm gonna make them a little bit bigger. Yeah, we have plenty of space. That's something that happens a lot. That you start working and then you start zooming in, zooming in, zooming in, zooming in. Okay, so I was playing. Then I think about the hand, and then I draw a circle, a cylinder. So we have a cylinder for the arm. Then we have the palm of the head. The palm of the head has a thickness. You see your palm, it has like a side thickness. So it's more like a sponge, right? And then what I see is like I have one line from the arm to the wrist, and through the wrist to the knuckle, and from the knuckle I bring the first finger out, right? Kind of like think about those proportions. Draw a lot, of course, but I keep the proportion. And usually when I do this is because I have seen that usually the leading finger is this one. That will be a very very common when you see poses or cute things. Like usually this finger is always like pointing, and according to that once I have the first finger, I go for the other ones, and I try to imagine how they will look if they are bending or grabbing things. I have the cylinder here, sorry, and then we have the wrist, and then I have my hand. But all these rhythms and flow that I'm doing here are these that I have learned from practice. And I have drawn a lot of hands, especially when I go to coffee shops and I see people holding things. That was my practice. Go to a coffee shop and see people how they handling things. And so this is what I think mostly when I'm doing the hand. Then I think about the second finger, and then suddenly I start thinking about that gesture of the 1, 2, 3, right? So I keep that gesture of the fingers, like that the knuckles, the bones, the joints. So I think about that, and then I can just think like, okay, there's one here, one here, one here. So I go the 1, 2, and then I decide like later what I'm gonna do with the second part. So I can have it like here, or I can have it a little bit, or I can close it, you know. So like I did before, and so I go like this, and then you have your third one there. You have your third one there. Don't forget the webbing I was talking about. Then the other finger. Sometimes it's harder because this explanation is more. I'm doing all this stuff on top of the hand, so it can be a little bit more difficult. Also, the shape of the fingers. That's something you have to study separately, and how to simplify those, and how to make the fingers according to your drawing style. I feel, right? So that will be my hand, and sometimes I forget to add the thumb. But the thumb, I think about if he's doing something like that, then he's always like shooting out like this. I feel like it's always shooting. Somebody doing like a magic power, right? So that's my thumb. Maybe it might not be the right one, but kind of explaining a little bit. Sometimes I just think about that the hand is here and the thumb is going down. Something like that. And that's how I draw the hands. Now, that's how I do it. But there are like a lot of different ways of drawing the hand, and that's where I think that is so hard to explain, because it's a lot of like looking and paying attention, and or after like doing a lot of drawing, like what happened when somebody, for example, is carrying a pole. So how those fingers rearrange, and and how they feel that you're actually, that finger is like, like actually trying to like hold to something, right? And they think it can be heavy, right? So there's that. There's a many different ways of drawing the hand, and that's where I think about like the whole gesture. And once you draw a lot of that, then you can start thinking like a lot of like gesture for the hand, and you can start seeing how the fingers like kind of do a lot of things pretty similar, and then you can start like drawing like the joints and be more specific. But I think the challenge here it will be, for example, this guy is like holding something like a banana, right? And these are from my imagination. I'm not using any references, okay? And but those are the things that I feel like when I'm drawing this, that I feel that sorry, the more difficult area here is gonna be understanding the perspective of this, being graceful with this, probably add some perspective to the hand, you know, how the hand will look. It's more like a robot, like the different planes, how they look in perspective, right? That's the challenge here. You understand the shape, but you have to understand um, those planes, and these planes are not like flat like a robot. They're actually more rounded, and there's a lot of joints. So that's why it's difficult to draw the hand, because there are a lot of joints, and it changes the shape of the hand. And there's the mechanical side of the hand. So that's why the hands are kind of difficult. But what I'm saying is like that to master that, you have to have that sense of perspective, and understanding a lot of the flow of the arm with the hand. Sometimes you don't. I think you can focus on understanding the hand, and then you have to start focusing on the whole group, because sometimes I group things. I group things, and that's it. I think about a shape, and that's the shape of the hand. That's another way of understanding the hand. You kind of like you targeting like into a more shape design kind of, you know um, kind of drawing. 1, 2, 3, yeah. And this hand is from imagination, so like the shape of it, you know the shape of it, and how it looks when, like, for example, somebody is holding this is too big. For example, somebody's drawing the holding a phone. So how that person will handle the phone, and how it will be, that's when things start getting complicated. That's when you go to a coffee shop, and then you start seeing how these people hold their phone, um, especially in these areas are important to pay extra attention. That you have an object, and then you have that area where the line of the finger gets into it. Don't do this, because that means that the thickness of the finger is going through the surface. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying there. But you have to understand that there's a space here, and things will go around this, like this. So this overlapping here, or yeah, this overlapping of things is something to pay attention. Um, I don't want to make this too long. I think I've talked a little bit about the hands. Let's see how long we have here. Okay, and I still have some more time. Um, I was checking what I was recorded, and I kind of thought about it. I explained different things about the hand grabbing and all of that. So maybe I want to go like this. I was thinking about other examples. When especially with the expanding a little bit more on the leading finger. You have the leading finger in the index finger, right? When you see guns, people are shooting is that finger leading, then the other one follows the shape of the gun, right? We have this, and this is the finger that is like pulling the trigger. The other ones are like just resting there. 1, 2, 3, right? And think about how the flow of these knuckles are too. And then you have the hand, then you have the thumb, and then you have the gun. There's always, I say this 100,000 times because that's something very important. Always see how that arm comes, and never draw the hand like this, like straight. No, I always think about these lines as different directions. I think about it different direction. 3 lines, different. I don't know if it's that way, but I think about that break here. It is a wrist, and that's the arm. So we have one arm and then the wrist. Sorry, like the arm and then the wrist, and that will keep your drawing more natural. More natural, and and you can not only like that way, but you can be the other way if you have a fist, or like you are like putting something on your hand on the ground, right? So think about that kind of graceful uh, and movement of the wrist according to the object that the person is handling, and that's something to look for a lot when drawing. And I'm repeating again many of the shape designs of the hand. That's something that's pretty common, um, but also that, like I was explaining, that always move that palm and make that wrist function, and that's something that very important to keep the look at all how like things flow with the hand and the wrist and the hand, how things flow and how it feels like way natural. Like here, this is a bad example, that's why it feels stiff. But if I have, instead of like having the hand just like that, and I just bend this a little bit like this, then now we have a nice organic flow, and the finger could be going down a little bit like this. So now we have something more natural, right? So you have to look for that shift in how the hand is posing for you, right? Then I see like now the finger, it feels a little bit more dynamic, and it feels more natural. It's because we have this curvature and all the whole flow from the wrist to to the hand. Look a lot for those reference. If you're gonna draw the hand, um, draw them in different positions, do in different ways. Like draw something like in perspective like this. This is the palm of the hand, and then we have the wrist, and you think about this in perspective, like going for your perspective like this. This could be a little bit more advanced because you have to think about roundness and keeping the proportions of the fingers and all of that, So, but this is a good way to practice and challenge yourself when you draw in the hand. Think about the sizes and the thickness of the fingers, right? So you see, you want to do something like with a lot of foreshortening. That could be something that really useful, Like you can draw that hand in with perspective like this. And don't forget the nails, very important. from the nails and the joints, and redefine, study the hand. I mean, you can start seeing how you can like become like from like really basic to 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 have a better drawing of the hand just by practicing how do you place that palm, and think about, if you have problems, try to think about that square sponge shape, and when you're drawing the hand, just divide these, one, two, so three, so one, two, three, and this is the palm of the hand, and in every square of this, there's a space for one tube, and one tube, and from there is the fingers, 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 like a robot. Draw a robot hand, and you will see it. So when you're drawing different poses, like this one, like you have this, then you can think about like, okay, this is one here, one here, one here, one here. So you can keep a nice spacing between the fingers, and they change a lot. So it's about like motion. Think about motion, how far that hand will go to this side or to this side. Like how much can you do that? Do it with your hand. Do it with your hands, and see your wrist, and see how, like, try to point to something, and you will see that your hands start like you see that gesture, trying to reach to something, and the lead finger will tell you a lot of the hand. So that will be my tips about drawing hands. That's how I draw. Then I don't want to actually make this too long, because you can watch this video a couple of times if you are struggling with this. As for the rest, I just wanted to like do some more figure drawings, because I wanted to expand a little bit more on that explanation. Like for example, if I'm going to draw something, if I'm going okay, let's talk about drawing sexy girls, okay? And drawing sexy girls is something that like I do a lot, as you guys know. So what I want to say is, like, when drawing sexy figures, I always think about the whole proportions, and how to make everything like a little bit more rounded and a little bit more juicy, you know, for that. And these drawings are a little bit more like anatomical, right? But I like to think about, same as the wrist, or the other parts of the body that I've been talking about, is the tilt of different parts of the body, and that including the torso, right? You have the torso, and then you have some tilting, and then you have some tilting in the head, and then you have like one hand in the wrist, and then you have one going down. So my point here is that, man, if you want to draw more of these drawings, and be able to experiment with poses, is to master these kind of like simple drawings, so you can like see models, and see like, oh, how do they rearrange their body parts that are like really like sexy, how how things cross, and how the body kind of like plays itself, and then you'll see like there's a lot of like hands grabbing the waist of the girls, and I think it's like you can study a lot of poses if you can draw them like in a very simple way, you know. um, these are standing; those are easy, but what I mean is like think about in terms of like sticks. Think about sticks. Think about sticks. Like, think about the torso curvature, always a curvature, and then think about the legs, and like, does the legs could look dynamic and they look sexy. Um, one leg like this is girls always look good when they do that. One leg like that, one leg like straight, gives a lot of like flavor to that. And same with the hand. You can have one hand like this. Um, you know, um, and that's mostly by drawing a lot of girls and drawing a lot of different poses and all that. And but this is the kind of like what I will say that's how I draw most of the time when I'm doing like drawing. I throw my curve and then I start figuring out the placement of the shoulders and then the placement of the hips, and then once I have that, I start like throwing some arms and try to keep the proportions overall. I think about the cylinders in my head and I already see what is the orientation of that. I draw this and then I know like around here the knee is gonna be there. So I think about the leg and I think about that curvature. Sometimes I push it too much, too rounded because I like big butts and I cannot lie. So then you have that curvature there, and that's how like I start building my drawing and I start building the rest of the pose just by having those joints and using the leg like in this way, right? Okay. Sorry, I have like a sudden call. And what I'm saying is that well, I was with the flow and they interrupted me. Um, so what I'm saying is like once I have things I arrange, I just have enough room to play with this, and always that's something that I want to like reinforce a lot. Is like draw the parts, but then draw them in different directions. It gives a lot of like rhythm and flow to the figure. Uh, this one actually became like a butt torso drawing, but I'm gonna like twist, twist a little bit here, and I think she can twist a little bit like that, right? That's the good thing about drawings, and you can make them up, or you make that butt like that. Okay. Um, this is just one of the videos I wanted to make. I want to make more videos like this. I think they're more personal, one-on-one, and you guys can ask some questions about it. I can talk about other things. I can just do like a different drawings and think about designing and and probably like finish some of these in a live stream or something like that. But this is the video what I wanted to make this month for Patreon. I feel like I wanted to do something about the hands, but it turned out that it takes a lot of time to make that video, and I have to actually teach you a different way. Um, and probably I can do that, but I kind of wanted to make this video a little bit more so you have an idea of what I do when I'm drawing and when I'm doing my figure drawings and when I'm doing those figure drawings and then make them transforming them into a character, right? So that's it, guys. I'm gonna see your feedback on this video. I want to see what you guys think about it. And then I'm gonna keep making probably a little bit more videos like this where I can talk about certain things in a more flowy way instead of making them a whole video about just one thing. I think I can talk about different things about drawing, about painting. I can do some sketches and I can tell you about how I think and many more things. Um, so you guys let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Um, Hopefully this video like gives you some insight on how I draw and how I think when I'm drawing. So thank you very much, and let me know what you think about this video. Thank you again for supporting Patreon and being part of the community. I want to put more videos like this. I want to hear your feedback, and based on that I'm going to make more videos like this so you can have fun and I don't know, see how I draw. So anyway, thank you very much and see you next time. Thank you guys.